Okay, so I'm going to continue with the surfacing of our scene. And the next thing I want to do is the Tombstone 01. I'm going to work on the specularity and bump of Tombstone 01. And as we did before, going to render our starting point. And taking down anti-aliasing, and we'll left the resolution there, but wanted to get a bit more speed on the test renders. So this is what we're starting with, and the first thing I wanted to do is to add a bit more specular to this, and copying there from turntable base that gradient layer that we had there. So it has a bit more specular on the edges. Glossiness, yeah, was okay. Doing a quick test render to see what we have. And yeah, already we see some, we have some edges there, outlined by the specular. As far as BAM goes, I'm going to copy this layer here. We have the color layer, and use it as a bump layer base for the tombstone. And yeah, getting some result there. It's not a huge difference, but let's zoom in to really see what we're getting. Okay, so that's our tombstone. So far, so good. One thing that we can do is add our good friend Dented. Serves us well so far. So let's see what's going to happen here. Obviously a bit too small. So I want to increase the scale a little bit more. And also wanted, I didn't want to lose this layer that we have underneath, so I'm playing with the different blending modes here and seeing how it affects the overall bump. And I was just kind of, test like we had before to see, how our layers are affecting, how these procedural textures are, looking when applied to our model. And yeah, starting to get something here. Just wanted to create a little bit more diversity in the bump of this tombstone, to weather it down a little bit more. And it was a bit too bright, so I adjusted the diffuse a little bit more. Adding one more layer there, kind of overall bump. Well, once you apply it, it kind of killed the bumps that we had underneath, and I didn't want that, so I'm just again searching for the best blending mode to kind of keep what we have beneath. And yeah, So quite happy with the additive blending mode there. And yeah, that looks pretty good. And as far as this area where the cross meets the ground, we're going to work on that in post in Photoshop, just to break that up so it isn't such a clean cut. And yeah, that is looking pretty good. Pretty happy with that. You can see the difference from where we started with to where we are now. And the specular is kind of playing on our surface, and we see all these little bumps there. And yeah, very happy with that. So I wanted to save all objects there. So you know, that is nice and safe. And now we're going to go and start to work on the other tombstone. And as far as this other tombstone is concerned, I'm speeding up the video here a little bit more because although it seemed like a fairly simple surface to create, I was really struggling with it. Went through a lot of iterations, trying to see whether this image is a good bump or not, and adding a little bit of turbulence, and I wasn't really happy with the results I was getting. It really wasn't going in the direction I wanted it to go. And there's kind of a lot of trial and errors there, just comparing the renders and seeing what's happening. And you can see me here going through, you know, of course, specularity and glossiness, you know, definitely, you know, was working on that. And I also went into Photoshop and adjusted this color map a little bit. It was kind of too hectic, was too busy, especially when I applied the bumps on it. You know, the whole thing looked a little bit too busy to me. So I did kind of struggle to find, you know, this look that I wanted to achieve. And yeah, adding some turbulence and adding some dented, and you know, playing with different styles of this color map and the bump map. But it just wasn't working out for me. You know, it's definitely going in the direction that I wanted it to go. You know, as far as specular and the general feel of the bump, but somehow it wasn't falling into place. So I did quite a lot of, you know, renders and comparing and rendering and increasing bump and decreasing bump, just trying to get what I wanted. You know, and I wanted to get a little bit more grittiness to it. I wanted to get a little bit weathered stone kind of feel, and just wasn't happening. So as I was working on this, I was kind of thinking, what's missing there, you know? How can I get this to look the way I want it? And I did, you know, eventually get to like 70% of where I wanted to be after a little bit of trial and errors. But still wasn't 100% happy with it. No, just wasn't clicking. And you can see me here trying to add just a little bit stronger bump in there, and playing with the turbulence and playing with the dented. And yeah, then I realized that to get it where I wanted to be, I couldn't just rely on these procedural textures. So I went online and I found this rubber texture, which I thought would really, really nicely complement this image that I used for the tombstone, to add this kind of cracks happening. Now I'll make the whole thing a lot more interesting. And I went and worked on it a little bit, desaturated it, and wanted to remove that really dark upper part there. And this rubber texture was really forgiving for clone stamping. It was really easy to clone stamp. And once I turned it into grayscale, I mean, first I saw it, I know, it would be great. Or when I turned it into grayscale and applied it, I really was happy with the results I was getting. And played a little bit with the blending mode. Overlay worked just great. And I was really happy, finally, I was happy with the look of this color texture. And that was one thing. Another thing I wanted to do, other than the color layer, I also wanted to make a bump layer. And I'm just trying to remove some of the noise here for this bump layer, so it isn't too gritty. I wanted actually to give more accent to these grooves, to these cuts in the stone, and played a little bit with the levels just to really get more accent on the scratches. Because, it was these scratches that I wanted to isolate. And once I was happy with, the changes I made, I went and saved this as Tombstone 02 Bump Map version 001. And armed with those two images, I went back into layout and replaced the image that I used for color map before. Render the frame to see what I was getting there. And as you can see, these rendering times are really fast. Again, that really allows you to explore different things. And already I was really happy with the results. I knew that was it, what I wanted to get. And went into bump map just to see what our bump image could add to this tombstone. And just thinking about the blending mode, whether I want to keep it normal or just put it as additive. And went to do a quick render, see the results. And yeah, you can see the difference there. And also, I wanted to do one render with anti-aliasing, 4, just to see how it's going to look, because that when you have anti-aliasing 1, the bump, tends to be a bit more gritty because there's, really no anti-aliasing there. So it's always a good practice just to see what you really have to make one render with a little higher anti-aliasing. And wanted to leave you guys waiting for this one with me as well. And yeah, finally was happy with the way that Tombstone looked. You know, really, really happy with that. And that extra work really paid off. Now doing a render of the whole scene with anti-aliasing 4. And yeah, that is looking awesome. And that would end our, you know, surfacing of the environment. And the only thing that's left is to finish up the surface definitions for Jack. And yeah, after that, go into Photoshop for some post-processing. And that'll be that. So I see you in the next session.